So what you'll need is oyster mushrooms, as many as you want. I roughly have 250 grams. I had some really big ones, so I kind of tore it up in half, so it's a bit easier to fry. Our trusted bottle of olive oil, some barbecue sauce. If you want to make this dish vegan, make sure to check if there's no honey in your barbecue sauce. And for the seasoning, some pepper and some salt. And that's it. Let's do this. So let's fry the mushrooms. Take a pan and put it on a fire. Add some olive oil in there. It can be a quite generous amount because your mushrooms will soak it up like sponge soaks up your tears. And let it get hot. Make sure that your fire is on high. We just want to brown the mushrooms and fry them a little bit, but don't overcook them. Once the oil is hot, add in your mushrooms. And let them fry while stirring it up until they start becoming golden brown. Try to keep your mushrooms as whole as possible. It will be important in our next step. Let's season them with some salt and a little bit of pepper. As you can see, some of my smaller mushrooms are already almost done. So I'm just going to take them out and leave the bigger ones a little bit longer. As you can see, they're nice and brown and quite soft already. There you go. As you can see, all of the mushrooms are almost done. I've transferred them to a plate and now I'm just going to let them cool off until they're cool enough to touch. So once the mushrooms are cool to touch, what you want to do is take your oyster mushroom, and as you can see, it has grains going down to the stem. So you just want to take a bit and pull it down to the stem. That way you get these pulled shapes, which kind of resembles pulled chicken or pork, and just continue the process for all the mushrooms. You can make these strips as thin or as thick as you want. So once all of the mushrooms are done, you kind of notice it looks a little bit like pulled chicken or pulled pork or pulled any meat. It already has that look and the taste will come later. So at this point you can do either two things. Sometimes I also like to add the shredded pieces back into the pan and fry them a little bit more so they become a little bit more crispy. Or you can also just skip that step and continue with normal procedure. Take the pan in which we fried the mushrooms, put it on a fire, and add a good amount of barbecue sauce. You can just pretty much eyeball the amount of sauce because kind of difference per person. Some like a lot of barbecue sauce, some like just a slight coating. This seems like a perfect amount for me. Just give it a swirl and let it heat up. Put your fire on medium-low maybe, so that your sauce doesn't burn. And just keep stirring until it's nice and hot. Once the sauce is a little bit more hot, it will become sticky, and that's when we're going to add our mushrooms. There you go, my sauce is nice and hot. Now let's add in the mushrooms and give everything a real good stir so that everything is nice and coated. Just going to lower my fire to low. And I'm just going to let my mushrooms heat through just a little bit. Make sure to keep stirring so that the barbecue sauce doesn't burn. Smells delicious already. As you can see, my barbecue sauce covers everything nicely, but if you want more, you can always take the mushrooms out and add in a little bit more of barbecue sauce and heat it up again and just basically repeat the process. Turn off the fire, put it in a pot or just leave it in a pan and it's ready to be served.